When it comes to fiction, we all have our likes and dislikes. A difficult sell for me is the immortal who meets and lives with a human being when the human is very young, and then dates them later trope. The emphasis that many stories using this trope tend to put on the naivete of the human being, usually a young girl, as they grow up with the immortal, having no agency or personality development, and that being the selling point of the dynamic is just... it's a major ick. The story arc I'm dissecting is one time I've liked how this trope is executed, and I'm not sure how you guessed this. It's because it doesn't end well, but it's not just the ending, is it? There's a story that builds up to it, and never has a story made me so desperate for two characters to just have a win that fictional cannibalism as a resolution to a plot point felt like a, you know what? Hell yeah. I have never had this happen to me.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was gonna go this way. This is so fucked. Oh my god. Oh shit.
Until these two. Now, I'm gonna be so honest. At the end of all this, the story might not resonate with you. Fiction is one of those weird spaces where your past experiences, present problems, and future aspirations all speed into a car crash makeout session? A car crash makeout session with the story that you're experiencing. You might have just seen the right media at the wrong time, or it was never the right piece of media for you to begin with. If at any point in the video you feel like you have to step out, that's perfectly okay. Enjoy your day. Also, don't do any of the things these two do. It should be obvious, just covering my bases in case someone wants to commit crime. And on that note, let's set the groundwork here. Jibako Shonen Hanako-kun, or Toilet-bound Hanako-kun, is a supernatural action, romance, drama, literally everything under the sun manga by artist-author duo Aida Iro about 7 school mysteries and the story surrounding each one. This manga is one of my favorite pieces of fiction. I'll force everyone into reading it if I have to. I've been reading it since I was 14, and this arc, which lasted about 3 years, has quite literally enveloped my mind ever since its conception. Now, you might be saying, wait, hold on. I've seen pictures of this series before. It's like a cutesy supernatural show about high schoolers and a toilet ghost for some reason. Oh, you sweet summer child. You haven't even gotten to the clockkeeper's arc yet. Part 1. Pre-mortem. What creates a person? What makes them develop into the people that they are today? What they're born with and the community surrounding them as they grow. The same can be said with cultures. With different landscapes and terrors in each environment, people react to those environments differently. This culture starts in a village. Deep, deep in it lies a pit spilling horrific supernatural monsters. In response, the community slaughters supernaturals. A clan rises to kill each and every one they find. And in one such endeavor, they stumble upon a young Oni called Hakubo, a sword pressed against his back, his Oni clan slaughtered behind him. He's so innocent here. His little outfit, his teeny little face, little cheeks. Like, look at him here when he's thinking about when his clan was alive, chewing on a human head. His clan members are chasing a person right in front of him. Are those fucking legs in the crock pot? Get your toe juices out of the damn soup! Oni are man-eating demons, supposedly desire-driven, all-consuming, and impulsive. Hakubo should hate the humans who did this, and yet, because he wasn't told to hate them, he says they can do as they like. And thus he is tied to the Minamoto clan. Humans with the tools to eradicate him now have him treated like a beast on an ill-fitting leash. His childhood is not pleasant. He is always doing the tasks that the community doesn't wish to. Plant these herbs, okay. Kill these monsters, okay. Torture that criminal, okay. Burn, slaughter, pillage, terrorize until there's nothing left. And if this sacrificial girl escapes, break her legs. If she misbehaves, gouge out her eyes. You can do whatever you wish, just don't kill her. She can't die yet. Okay. Why me? I don't want to be sacrificed for the people of that horrible village. I won't forgive them. I'll never forgive them. You're the Kannagi. The Kannagi's role is to be a sacrifice. And if the Kannagi runs away, my role is to do this. A muted view of the world, disconnected from emotion, only following what he's told to, and holding the roles people play above all else. It's the only way he knows. And it's with these orders and this worldview that he's introduced to the last sacrificial girl he'll ever guard. Sumire. Wait, sacrifice? You see, there is a second response to that supernatural problem. Sumire is part of a long line of Kannagi, girls with supernatural abilities that, as young adults, are quote-unquote married to God, thrown into a pit as a way to quell the supernaturals that spill out. You may be sensing a theme here. The theme is that the village sucks, degrading and instilling generations of hatred into an immortal being. That's not going to have any consequences. And tossing young women into hell, that's not going to have any consequences, is a surefire way to create perfectly healthy, non-traumatized childhoods. Sumire was given up by her family for this task. She latches onto Hakubo and is honest about how she wants to be his wife instead of wedded to God. Something Hakubo shows zero interest in. Despite that disinterest, Sumire essentially becomes the no-parent equivalent of a parentified child as she grows up, taking over household responsibilities like cooking, cleaning, and laundry because she wants to play up this wife role. And Hakubo finds this weird as hell, because to him, he's supposed to be following the orders he's given as a caretaker. To have her take them over feels like he's not doing what he was ordered to. It's not following the values he's been conditioned to begrudgingly accept, even if he is, as Sumire points out, terrible at every household task, because being treated like a killing machine isn't conducive to learning how to take care of yourself or others. Whoa, who could have guessed? Unlike the dynamic I was dreading to see between knowledgeable immortal and naive mortal, we see something different as these two develop. Sumire, although she uses naive personas to fool people, becomes a manipulator. She is cunning, and unlike anything I've ever seen in this trope before, will do everything in her limited situation to gain a sense of agency. Of course, it doesn't start out this way. I don't think any 6-year-old is intentionally trying to ruin people's lives, except for me. I was that 6-year-old. Sumire starts with the intention on proving herself useful. She latches onto Hakubo not only because she has this idea that he's her husband until she gets wedded to God, but also because he's the only one who doesn't bully or belittle her in the village, nor does he try to put up false fronts. Instead, he is honest to a fault. Sumire, on the other hand, is mischievous as she grows up. She starts gaining control in small ways. Tossing kids who bully her into manure pits, sneaking persimmons from a tree, killing supernaturals, also committing arson. But where we see a large shift is in this scene, where she takes in wounded animals. You must really like looking after those critters, but what's the point of doing all this? Most of them are just gonna die anyway. And sure, some of them do get better, but it's not like you get anything out of it when they do. Maybe not, but there's still a point. These poor, pitiful creatures have had such terrible things happen to them that they would not have been able to survive on their own. And I hold their fates in the palm of my hand. Their lives, their minds, every last little thing, including whether they live or die, is all up to me. And I like that. Now, it's your turn. So, what is it you want to do with this complete control over their lives? Well, now, let's see. What I really want is for someone to mourn me when I'm gone. I want them to weep and wail, to be so sad that the grief drives them to insanity. I would be so happy if someone went to hell over me. Her thought process surrounding taking in sick animals, harming supernaturals, and hurting humans in ways that she can safely do so clearly emphasizes that cunning nature, that desire to hold power over others. Hakubo is the naive and dense one, because he has learned apathy and ignorance as survival tools. If he expressed anything else, he'd be killed. Sumire recognizes Hakubo's naivete, his unwavering honesty, and the value he places in playing roles to perfection, and uses that to implant her own wants and desires into him. She loves him, yes, a love that is precariously built, but she also uses that love as a tool for control, because, as shown in these panels, he is her coping mechanism. The fisheye perspective and uncomfortably close framing feels like she's cornering prey. Another wounded animal, she gets to choose exactly how it lives or dies. She is well aware of how the village treats them both as outsiders. She is well aware of how she is nothing more than a pawn to be tossed into a pit. If she can't have the village's affections, she wants to control his. She was dying a needless death because her community thought it would protect them from supernaturals. What could be the perfect comeback if not to fall deeply in love with one? Their sacrificial pawn to the gods, tainted by a love for the very thing they were trying to prevent. Knowing all of this, it's pretty obvious what toxic dynamic they have. It's codependent. I want to show you something. This is from James Madison University. Thanks, Jamu. I did not plan this. I just wanted to double check that I was using the word codependency correctly. And, oh my god. Codependency in relationships involves becoming so invested with each other that you can't function independently. It typically plays out as one person being more passive, lacking confidence, depending on being taken care of, and often having difficulties making decisions. The other person in the relationship is more dominant, controlling, takes charge, and gets some satisfaction from making decisions and taking care of the other person. They also provide an effects of codependency list with this, and ooh, let's just tally this. Having an exaggerated sense of responsibility for others. Example, they would fall apart without me. They couldn't survive. I'm all they have. So, I'm gonna say that's definitely more Sumire. Having an exaggerated fear of being alone and being abandoned. Oh, Sumire, 100%. Doubting your decisions and not trusting yourself without significant input or approval from others. That's Hakubo. That's 100% him. Feeling guilty and selfish when you do something for yourself. Hakubo. Low self-esteem and a sense of losing your identity. Yeah, that's Hakubo. Needing to be needed, where you only feel good about yourself if you're sacrificing something or going out of your way to help others. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be playing a big role later on. That's both. Feeling resentful. Sumire. Also, Hakubo, that's both of them. Developing unhealthy coping mechanisms and compulsive behaviors, both. Feeling exhausted, burnt out physically, emotionally, both. Neglecting other important relationships, both. Stagnation in moving towards becoming better people and achieving personal goals. Both people are being held back in some way. Oh, yeah. What? That's, yeah. This is just them. And also my parents. But this is just them. Now, this is not an official medically diagnosable term and is not intended in that way. These two are fictional characters, and I am not a medical professional. The term codependency has many definitions because its original usage is not necessarily what the term is used for today. In this context, this is a reference point I'm using to show you just how far on the emotionally fucky-wuckied scale these two are. They are very far. They are very emotionally fucky-wuckied. In the post-mortem section, this is going to be pretty relevant. As time moves further in the story, we see the ways these two shift in their dynamic and confide in each other. Even back in the wounded animal scene, Hakubo gets to actually ask questions, to listen to her thoughts and understand her ideas, not just follow commands. Later, there's these women who throw rocks at Sumire after she kills the supernatural, because that supernatural had already terrorized their family before she could arrive. They scream at her, telling her to die already, and this is all her fault for living in the first place. And, against the major rules that he's been brought up on, Hakubo elbows these two and protects Sumire from getting hit. Their poses here stick out to me. It's reminiscent of moments when you realize that when adults around you belittle what you say and do, it isn't always final. You can actually argue back against their cruelty. It's weirdly empowering to see this brief moment where Hakubo actually does what he wants, even if he doesn't realize what he's doing just yet. Also, why is there a picture of me on the screen? Soon enough, it's the night before Sumire is set to be sacrificed. For once, she asks for a wish to be granted by Hakubo, and he accepts it before knowing what it is. She's so surprised and happy, and her request, like the love-starved girl that she is this. Go for a girl, I guess. What the hell? Hakubo seems disappointed, saying, "Oh, that's all?" So, you turn the page. He's gonna have the same response he's always had. He's just gonna... huh? Wait, hold on. Whoa. Actually? No. Is this actually happening? Wait. Oh, wait, that's actually really cute. What just happened? Oh my god. I don't say this term in real life because I feel like it can be harmful and isolating for someone to hear. I've had it said to me myself, but I will say it here. These two in this scene are bumbling fucking idiots, and I absolutely love it. The haphazard intimacy equivalent to an abstinence-only high school sex ed class levels of awkwardness, the real-time record scratch. Oh my god, wait, actually, thought process you and Sumire have at the same time, culminating in levels of miscommunication that reach into the edges of the known universe. And this fucking headbutt? This scene is late adolescence grinded down into a fine powder. Put that shit on my pasta, put that shit on my chawal, put that shit on my sabji. Like, what is this? Haldi? Hey, would you look at that? You don't have to subscribe. It is wonderful. These two are so bad at communicating. How dare Aida Iro make the scene so cute? Here is footage of me shaking this book like a goddamn maraca. After the head tap, Hakubo just dips, and you can see him scrambling in his thoughts, wondering why Sumire didn't just ask to escape. It's obvious to the reader that he's projecting what he wants onto her, and it's also obvious why neither of them said anything about escaping. Sumire is well aware of what Hakubo has done to other Kannagi that have tried to run away, and still does to others. She sees him come back from his duties, like, coated in viscera. To her knowledge, Hakubo just did that entire fiasco just now because he was asked to, and only because he was asked to. Sumire doesn't know that he wants more for her? Why would she believe he'd make an exception for her after a lifetime of just this face every time she tries to make a romantic suggestion? And Hakubo doesn't even realize that he wants the same things she does, to find happiness without the pressure of their entire life. And even if he did, he wouldn't break away from his role and responsibilities to say what he wants, because he's never been asked for his desires, only to follow the desires of others. This moment made me realize something. These two are just teenagers. It's like they're fresh out of high school and feel like they have no agency or control over their lives, and every decision that they think they can make but don't is riddled with the guilt of inaction, and yet they so desperately want to do more. And why is there a picture of me on the screen? Hakubo is so willing on the night before her death to just do something for her, but she asks for so little. He would have helped her run away together, killed the people in the village who were going to mercilessly kill her. But because both of their lives were so rooted in this place, the idea of escaping felt impossible. And knowing all that, he wonders if she even wants to live. After all, she had never asked to. And so, the next day, she is guided to the pit, with her reflecting on how honest he is, how he never fell into the role of husband in the way she wanted, no matter how much she pushed, and him reflecting on how difficult she was, how she played the role of Kanagi to perfection. The fall must have been painful. He sees how joyous the villagers are after her death, already picking the next sacrifice out. No tears, no shame. And without understanding why, he thinks about what she would have wanted. Their blood congeals on his fingertips, ripe with fresh slaughter. He spares the children, perhaps overlaid with the image of what Sumire and him once were. He's hunted down after, pinned to the ground, and as he looks up, he sees the statue that is put up for each sacrificed girl. It's a new one, just freshly made. And all he's left with is this feeling. It wasn't out of anger or grief or hatred. I just felt that there was something I should have said to you or done for you on that day, that night. And thus, their story ends, left with a bitter aftertaste of what could have been. Remember when I said that this series is about school mysteries? School mysteries are supernaturals whose powers are shaped by rumors. There are two things that these beings have. One, their own domain where they're at their strongest, called boundaries. And two, marked by a black seal, are the beings Yorishiro, their most important attachment in life. The only thing binding them to their position as a school mystery, and the only thing keeping their boundaries intact. Anyone can become a school mystery as long as the proper conditions are met. Want to take a guess as to what happens to these two? Part 2. Post-mortem. Imagine the inky pitch black. You awaken as Sumire. It's the day you're to be sacrificed. You go through all the motions, dressed in finery, and you notice a black seal on your neck. But you have no time to think on it, as you are soon paraded in a carriage to the village's cliff. The rocky surface is slippery when you step on it. Your veil and decadent outfit itches against your skin. And at the torii gate, on the edge of life and death, you turn, expecting to see that man again, if only to memorize his face before your life cuts short. And you see nothing. He's not there. You really thought he was in love with you? There's no time to think further. The drop is long, the water is cold, the pain is sharp. You awaken as Sumire. It's the day you're to be sacrificed. You go through all the motions, dressed in finery, and you notice a black seal on your neck. but you have no time to think on it, as you are soon paraded in a carriage to the village's cliff. Wait, no, why isn't he? You awaken as Sumire. It's the day you're to be sacrificed. You go through all the motions, dressed in finery, and you notice a black seal on your neck. You pause. This has happened before. It's happened multiple times, and it's with a dread you realize your deepest of fears have come true. You've been abandoned. And yet, you come to know that seal, that it empowers what's called a school mystery. That Oni, he's become one. And you, this seal marks that you are the strongest attachment he had in life. He was in love with you. He has to be in love with you. You wouldn't be his Yorishiro otherwise. It's the only thing that keeps you going as you repeat the day of your death over and over and over in this hellish boundary. He'll stop this. He has to. Boundaries reflect the supernatural's deepest duties and desires, the inner reaches of their mind, what haunts them. So, I ask you, what haunts this Oni? The day where his inaction cost them both. But he can enter his boundary at any time. He'll find her. They'll fix this, right? When Hakubo is turned into the 6th school mystery, he doesn't know that Sumire is his Yorishiro, or that the part of the boundary where she resides in even exists. He only knows his responsibilities as a school mystery. It's the same one he had when he was alive, to protect the land from supernaturals, by whatever means necessary. His rumors give him the power to kill and bring others back from the brink of death with his touch, which is fitting. With these powers, he becomes known as a lord, a god of death. The only way he can be free from his duties as a school spirit is if he or a living Kanagi destroy the strongest attachment he had in life. But since he doesn't know what that attachment is, he can't escape. Just like when they were alive, they fall into the same constricted roles, isolated from others and plagued by the memory of each other. They stay in this cycle of suffering for 100 years. Sumire is bitter at the end of all this, desperate. When we first meet her in the story, she almost lets the main characters die until she realizes it won't solve her problem of Hakubo not coming to see her spirit. Not because she feels like killing people is bad. And why would she? She was a means to an end for others, even in death. Why weren't other people allowed to be the same for her? But even they can't solve her problem, at least not for long. Even when she escapes the boundary, due to a predicament Hakubo technically helped cause, she ends up right back in it. But this time, everything's a little different. There's no villagers here. It's empty. The sakura are in full bloom. And when she peeks under the large sakura tree, through many trials and tribulations, Hakubo is here, sent in after being defeated in battle. The two finally see each other again, and she is not happy with it. Understandably so, but after expressing all that, they get to talk. They were given space before they interact again, and when they do, you can see how these two could have been together in healthier ways. The what-ifs and if-onlys ran through my head in these moments. When Sumire says it's nice that there aren't any villagers in the boundary anymore, so that they can walk around as they please, Hakubo just has this look as if he realizes that they actually have some modicum of freedom. The way he smiles for once and jokes about the past that Sumire romanticizes by stating the truth about it and how she was kind of violent in it. The shameless rambles she goes on about how she was just violent because she was a poor widow tragic Canadian wolf. There's a warmth and melancholy to it that's palpable. Sometimes the artist Ida will show pieces of these two that hit like a punch to the gut. Moments where they were truly content with each other. Moments that these two could have continued having if they had met under better circumstances. And it's in that desire for something better that these two actually confront their grief, in a cave sheltered from the rain. She asks him if he regrets the day she died. He pushes back her wet hair with his hands, and every time I come back to this panel, my brain short circuits. I'm so sorry. That size difference? I always forget this. Bro is bigger than when he was alive. He really said, eat protein when he died. Like, what happened? Dude! Okay. But anyway, at this moment, he asks her if he could take her as his wife, just like she wanted. All these years, he's been left with this pit because he wanted to do something for her, but couldn't. You've been suffering for 100 years? Guess so. It's kind of like you're a curse. And she just gives this brilliant smile. To him, he doesn't quite get it, why she's so overjoyed. He's barely processed his own complex emotions, let alone hers. And yet, he has one final wish to grant. Sumire wishes to be destroyed. A living Kanagi can just rip off a Yorishiro seal like it's a band-aid, but she's dead. Anyone else has to annihilate Sumire's form, break her down until she is beyond recognition. What do you expect in the next scene? Something terrifying? Gory? What we're met with is this. The gorgeous shoujo-esque shading, the rivulets of water running down between them, this distinct intimacy contrasted with those deep bite marks. It's breathtaking, a wild experience of a spread that imbues in you a mixture of fear and awe. Something about their arc's end just feels right. It's not joyful to anyone outside of these two, but it makes sense. To them, they don't have the optimism that the main characters have about saving them. They only have their previous upbringing. And for once, they get to take control and make a choice, falling back into their roles, back to that fateful day and night. Sumire becomes a willing sacrifice to Hakubo, and Hakubo makes the choice to grant her wish of wanting to be destroyed, and to destroy this boundary with her, to have finally done something, instead of replaying that same horrific day over and over. He marries her with no fanfare, just pure and simple declarations. And in that way, in her final moments, she is wedded to God. And thus, he fulfills her wish in the only way he knows how. They consummate their marriage, and he devours her whole. Because to consume is the closest thing to love he believes an oni like him can have. He reminisces it with her about what could have been, in witnessing the last vestiges of her soul, thinking, if only, if only, if only. You wanted me to cry, right? That's what you told me. You wanted me to weep and wail and go to hell over you. If only I had been a normal human man. If only I'd been charged with taking care of you while I was still young. If I could have laughed and cried like you did in the time we had with each other, I bet I'd have fallen in love with you just like you'd wanted. And when you went to marry off among the gods, I could have cried and clung to you and gone to hell over you. I wish I could have done that for you. Silly boy, you are just adorable. You still haven't figured it out? You're already there. This is the deepest depths of your own personal hell. Oh, that's a relief. As much as he thinks that he's not changed, that he could never be with her the way that he is, he has tear marks on his face after he becomes a spirit. His boundary weeps for her, as this post points out. He joked with her when they talked about the mischief she caused when she was alive. He chose to mend that long-standing regret and express what he thought he'd never have the capacity to feel. He is haunted by her in exactly the way she wanted, and she, in turn, shows him that what he feels is perfect. They've gotten their relief, like two puzzle pieces that would have never fit together otherwise, shaved down by the horrific circumstances surrounding them, so that they perfectly click. It's disgusting, and it's all that they have. Part 3. Autopsy. So, you might be wondering, after watching Sumire's spirit being eaten out in more ways than one, oh God, why did I write that? I mean, I'm right. Like, her kimono is like half untied from where we're seeing it. Like, we're only seeing her from like bottom down view, and we're only seeing Hakubo like when we see him from top up. And like, you know, it's a parallel to the night they had when they were alive, where they almost had some interesting times together, and then like. Anyway, this is like important. All I'm saying is that I just feel like there's more than one type of feast that's going on here. But besides that point, and outside of some realizations, why do I like this? Okay, I'll explain it. Some reasons are going to be more subjective than others. That is the nature of liking things, but I'll be sure to mix it up. A lot of Hanako is based off of twisting old stories. Also, this stuff is like mentioned in this post, but this part and the Hades and Persephone part right after, I wrote these parts before I read this. Just wanted to let you know. Off the top of my head, the toilet ghost Hanako-san is akin to Bloody Mary. She's a girl haunting school bathrooms that you can summon. But in this story, Hanako-san is a boy haunting the girls' bathrooms. The Little Mermaid is another one. When one of the main characters, Yashiro, swallows a mermaid scale, she ends up turning into a fish whenever she touches water, instead of a mermaid turning human. And there are also other connections to the story that hurt very much. On top of that is Orpheus and Eurydice, and this one I will keep to myself for spoiler reasons, but if you know Orpheus and Eurydice, you know what happens. These two I discovered from the aforementioned post, and as such take this with a grain of salt, have some strong correlations to the Japanese poem Akutagawa from the collection called Tales of Issei, translated by Helen McCullough, about a man who wants to marry a woman from a high-status family and runs off with her. She doesn't know the outside world, asking what beads of water on the grass blades are called. But before the man gets to explain it, it starts pouring and thundering violently. So he hides her in a building and stands guard outside. But in that thundering night, in the moment where he has his back turned to her, an Oni inside the building finds the hidden woman and eats her in one gulp. He should have told her that those beads of water were called dewdrops. Hakubo is, all at once, the man who wanted to whisk her away, the demon that feasts on her in a tumultuous storm, and the woman who knows nothing of the world around him. And Sumire, too, encompasses man, demon, and woman, showing him the emotion, attention, and affection he had been so thoroughly convinced he couldn't feel, couldn't crave, and twisting that affection because she too craved it. This love that she did not know. Well, I'm not agreeing with every single thing said by the evil that is Moke. Oh, that's a cool name. Because, I'm not the same human being. It really brought to light some aspects I wasn't aware of or didn't connect the dots to. It was also really cool to read this while writing this and be like, oh, someone else thought the same thing? Yes! That's what I love about Community. But even without this story, these two are classic representations of the transition from girl to womanhood that is so often depicted by death and rebirth. For example, interpretations of Little Red Riding Hood, where the wolf consumes her and then is cut open, sees Little Red stepping out of the wolf's corpse as a symbol of her becoming a new person. And, of course, Hades and Persephone. Persephone being whisked away and married to the god of the dead. A death of her previous role and a birth of her new one. These types of stories fascinate me. Deadly beings that are unlike humans, formed by experiences that people simply can't live long enough to have, and yet, just like us, are tied by the same emotions that we go through. I relate to these two in ways I didn't think I would. This subsection is purely me projecting. We'll move on quickly, but if you exit the video before completing this section, I will skin you alive. Hakubo is the most arrow ace motherfucker I have ever seen. Arrow ace, or ace arrow, is short for aromantic asexual. Essentially, you don't have romantic or sexual attraction to people. This doesn't mean that you don't have romantic or sexual relationships. For example, a person may still like sex without being sexually attracted to someone, or participate in sex because it makes their partner happy. But it does mean that the way you perceive love is different. It, like most things, is a spectrum, and God, does Hakubo fall on that spectrum. There's, so much, oh my god, saying he wishes he had as much passion or feeling as others had, a straight face with romantic and sexual advances, being so willing to do what Sumire sees as love, because he just wants to do something for her. He describes what he feels for her as indigestion, this deep burning sensation in his stomach that would not go away no matter what he did. It was suffering. He believes he's not representing or giving love in the way that Sumire would have wanted, but it ends up being exactly what she wants, to be loved so deeply that someone would fall into hell for her. And she accepts his love, his hell, fully. It's not just this. Hakubo throughout all these scenes feels very neurodivergent. Like being Arrow Ace, neurodiversity is on a spectrum of how people experience life. Everyone is different, but this dude has zero masking skills when it comes to his faces and responses. He is straightforward and matter-of-fact, and also he has this animal mask that he hides behind literally all the time because it makes him feel more comfortable. It's great. Adding on to that, he has an incredibly difficult time naming what he's feeling, along with experiencing those emotions in a different capacity than Sumire does. He associates emotions with actions, roles that he's supposed to play. This stuff was something I mentioned to a friend when I texted them right after this chapter got translated. Fun fact, this entire video is based off of texts I sent to them, describing these two 2 years ago. These parts of his character were some of the best rep I've resonated with as a person on both spectrums, and I didn't think I'd get that from a codependent man-eating demon, and yet Sumire's yearning for just some type of attention, some type of agency, even if it destroys her. You want to believe you could never be like that, and yet I didn't think I'd get some of the best depictions of how a controlling environment warps people into the worst versions of themselves from a manga that well, has gotten dark before, has not gotten to levels of, oh, wow, that's just bad prior to these two. And yet, here we are. That's what dark, odd, unhealthy fiction done right can provide. A weird sense of connection you didn't expect. And that's at the root of it, isn't it? Those stories you just can't forget. What I love about the story ties into that. The combination of codependency spliced with genuinely really cute moments, all the little details and the lotus and violet motifs in their designs. Hakubo's boundary literally represents his time with the Oni clan, combined with the pit from the village I am going to vomit. The longing for something better, just out of reach. There's this scene at the beginning and ends of their backstory, spoken by the man who slaughtered Hakubo's clan in the first place, where he remarks on Hakubo's dense nature, but believes that one day you'll realize you loved someone and hated me. That gets to me. Genuinely, rereading their arc for this video brought me to the brink of tears. It isn't a happy ending, and I don't think these two would be nearly as impactful if it was. The manga doesn't try to excuse what happened in their past by throwing their unhealthy experiences away in favor of a sanitized end. Instead, it actually shows how these two are unfiltered. No twisting of their characters to become better suddenly, simply because they found the person that they loved again. Just embracing their poorest selves in their rawest forms. The ways that have been embedded in them because of what their community did. Because even though these two were separated for 100 years, they were still stuck doing the awful things they did when they were alive. The way characters remark on these two really exemplifies that. One of the main characters, Yashiro, states Sumire only really liked Hakubo because she was living in this gloomy village and there was no one else. And it's true. Sumire only really had him, and Hakubo only really had her. In the aftermath of their final scene together, another character remarks on their relationship with one of my favorite quotes in the entire series. It's pretty screwed up to eat the girl that you're in love with, but if you ask me, she's even more messed up for wanting to get eaten. He then says, but looking at it from their point of view, this was probably a better ending in their eyes than letting someone else rob them of their closure. This parallels Hakubo's lines. I could keep you here, but it would be like nothing has changed. Since I can't get you out of my head anyway, then I'm gonna do this my way. I'm gonna do this my way. Gods, when was the last time you did things the way you wanted? The things you avoid doing. The projects you say you want to make but scrap before ever starting. The people you want to ask to be friends, the friends you want to ask to be lovers, the schoolwork or work you're definitely procrastinating on while watching this video. The hobbies you say you want to try but make excuses for why you can't. The game you bought but never take the time to play. The long-standing regrets over the steps you could have taken. It's inaction. It eats at you. It haunts and burns at you from within. And it consumes. If they weren't shaped by their experiences, their inactions, maybe they'd choose a peaceful option. Maybe they'd cast aside their past and live in the present. But they can't. Even though it is nowhere near the lives they wish they had together, at that moment, what happens is exactly what these two want. A choice. And they make one that, although isn't the best, is their own. The grief and catharsis that comes with separating from controlling situations and getting to regain your autonomy. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that or experienced something like it. You're so used to thinking about the what-ifs, the hurt, the guilt, the regret, that you'd rather make that poor choice 1,000 times over than go back to that village. You'd rather be devoured than relive the same day once more. And you'd rather devour than watch the person you love suffer that fate for you again and again and again. Because instead of someone else forcing you to do something, you get to do something about it yourself. Messy and imperfect, and in their case, disturbing. But there is no what ifs. They choose to end it. The cycle of agony and painful love they've built. End the inaction that led dozens of Kannagi to their deaths. End the continued pain of their lives haunting them. They are finally free from the confines they'd convinced themselves that they could never escape. God, this image. It's over. In a weird way, this story acknowledges that they, and that you too, can change. It hit especially hard because their story started when I was 15 and ended when I was 18. A large part of my teen years was to experience the pieces of their lives, slowly, surely, to see them gain a twisted independence, and to connect that with my own struggles for the very same thing, in the ways that adolescents often struggle with it. It's all at once a cautionary tale, a triumph, a tragedy, a twisted wonder and horror. Fiction gives us the room to explore these unhealthy dynamics in safe, adjusted doses. At our own paces, we can reconcile with our personal experiences, revel and reel back in awe and terror at the characters' choices outside of, or because of, our personal ties to what they're experiencing. The space to explore these concepts might not be this manga for you, and that's okay. It might be another piece of media, obscure or popular. It might be a creative hobby, or a journal, or nothing at all. But for me, the wide grin I had when I got to finally finish their arc, after years of watching it unfold, the catharsis this manga provides for me with these two, is something I'll keep coming back to. If only to recognize my own inactions and to change them. For this exploration of control is one I just can't get over. Thank you for watching this labor of love. Before you leave, there's one final thing I wanted to say. These two are terrible. It is acknowledged in the story itself, and I will acknowledge it here. I love their arc. I love their characters. Do not be like them. Let's cultivate a world that allows for better choices than their village or they themselves have the opportunity to make. Because we can.